Welcome to Rock Solid, the Round Rock Business Leaders Podcast. Join your host, Bryan Eisenberg, as he explores the journeys of entrepreneurs and companies across Round Rock, Texas. From startups and nonprofits to large organizations, each guest shares their passion for doing business in this thriving community. Let's dive in.
Hi, everybody. It's Bryan Eisenberg. Welcome to Rock Solid, and I'm here with my good friend Batya Porter. She likes to say "buy better with Batya." Book came down. It's getting so popular. It's flying off the shelves or flying off the table. I don't know what it is. It did come out this week. I think I swallowed an elephant. Get your copy. Batya and I met at several chamber events, and I've learned a lot more about real estate in the last few years on the commercial side, but also on the residential side from you. There's an interesting statistic I came across, and I kind of want to guide you here first. It says about 9 out of 10 people. I got to start that over. About 9 out of 10 people go with the first real estate agent they meet. And on the buyer side, they tend to feel that they did okay. But on the seller side, and I know you kind of do both, and you do residential and commercial, on the seller side, almost all of them feel like they regretted something. Why?
So on the selling side of things, there's just that heightened level of emotion that's involved. When you're buying a house, it's emotional, you're excited. You haven't invested any money yet, you're looking to invest. Whereas when you own a home, you're getting ready to sell, all the memories, all of the renovations and additions you put into the home, what people don't always realize, that money in doesn't always equal money out. So maybe you spend $100,000 on that pool, now you're getting $30,000 in market value. You put in new solar panels, you're getting $0 in market value added. So those are tougher pills to swallow. And then I think just overall, not all agents market properties the same way. I'm shocked that all the blurry iPhone pictures I see on both of the MLS systems I'm a part of. Even doing that, listing in 2 different local multiple listing services allows for even more engagement, more eyes on the property. So subtle things like that, where they're listing it, the quality of the photos, and then the price. Unfortunately, we have seen a insane drop in home values since the fall. In some areas, 30 to 50K or more.
Wow, okay.
And typically right now, seasonality-wise, spring, summer months, home values are going up maybe 10 to 20K. So we just have not seen that. It's been really an anomaly in our market, and it's largely due to COVID. People overpaid by $100,000+. The market's correcting itself, and rates are around 7%. So it's just dealing with that and the overall economy.
Rock Solid is produced and recorded at Round Rock Studio. Located right here in Round Rock, our state-of-the-art studio is built for podcasters and creatives alike. We offer multiple professionally designed podcast sets, top-notch recording gear, and a full photography studio ready for any project. Whether you're launching a new podcast or upgrading your existing one, we can help with multi-camera recording, editing, and everything you need for success. Record with us at Round Rock Studio, your local podcasting partner.
The other interesting stat I found is that most people go with the first agent they meet. They don't interview agents. They don't, research them. They may see a listing, let's say on Zillow, and say, contact the agent. They connect with them. They make them feel good, and they're done. Now that I know better, I would never do that. But why do you think so many people do that? And what's the trap of getting down that path?
An agent that's a really cool person and nice and genuine maybe, but isn't very educated or knowledgeable or even attentive to detail in the process. So oftentimes I've met people who are like, our agent was really cool, they were really nice, we didn't feel pressured into anything. Then we bought the house, we didn't realize the tax rate was a lot higher than the other homes we saw, we didn't realize the seller was over 65, and now we have a tax overage that we weren't prepared to pay. From small issues, HOA is not allowing your boat out front, to larger issues, all of these things tend to happen when you're not doing that due diligence up front. My job isn't to fluff up a home for my clients to buy, it's to show them the real of that home, including all of its faults, they decide if it still makes sense to move forward with.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's still an investment.
Exactly. And it's their house, their money, and their mortgage. I'm not the one paying it every month, so making sure that it makes sense for them.
You recently helped us in a situation where you found a little tiny detail in a lease that came in after an LOI, which normally the LOI should match the lease. And you saved us through a big headache. How often do things like that actually happen?
I would say all the time. I mean, for instance, one of my clients, she was looking at properties, 5+ acres. She wanted to apply for an agricultural exemption, and she was looking at homes with land, and found that some had already had their ag exemption approved. When I did more research, I found out that ag exemptions have a 3-year rollback tax. So if you reapply and you're denied for that exemption, you are now liable for 3 years of back taxes from what the seller saved before you bought it. And so knowing that, she decided, okay, we're going to shift the search into another direction. So it's all in the details. When they're missed, I mean, there are big consequences. I recently came across somebody networking, and she's given me permission to share this story. She owns a nonprofit organization, and she went to purchase 7 acres of land from an agent who'd been in the business for over 30 years. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, after she bought it, turns out it's in a full floodplain, and as a result, it immensely limits how she's able to develop that property.
And she's doing amazing work. I know who you're talking about. She's doing amazing work.
Yes.
And like, it feels almost criminal that she didn't know that, because the people that she could impact, if she
are being directly affected.
Yeah.
And as a result, and even going through the legal process of suing them, the end was very nominal compared to what occurred. And so when I first got into real estate, I had this inner kind of like doubt telling me, oh, how can you compete with somebody who's been doing this 20, 30 plus years? And then I started realizing time in real estate doesn't equate to business mindedness or attention to detail or ethics. And I realized education wasn't really there. So starting to obtain the educations really made me feel more comfortable, and I think allowed me to stand out in a space that's so hyper-saturated, because those details are everything.
There are how many agents in Texas? Real estate agents?
About 20,000.
About 20,000 agents. And from what I'm understanding about getting your real estate agent's license, it's like 180 hours of coursework.
Yes.
Then you have to find a broker as well, and there's obviously some fees and all of that kind of happening. And that's where most people stop with their education, right? They basically get their initial license. They may do it part-time, full-time. They may do it as a hobby. What's the difference between what you're pursuing? Because you didn't just stop there. You said, okay, that's a good enough, like having a license to drive a car, but I want to be the, I
want to be a defensive driver.
Yeah, I want to be the best driver out there. What are you doing that's so different, and why it's so important, especially to your clients?
So on the education side, always learning and realizing that no matter how much I know, there's always more to learn, and I don't know everything. Mm-hmm. That drive to be better and do better, to be more valuable to my clients, is what pushes me. I'm currently have 2 more chapters left in my 12th real estate certification, Senior Relocation Service. We were talking about that. And each one deep dives into a client's experience. I have military relocation professional, short sale and foreclosure, real estate investing, real estate divorce. So each one of these is tailored to help support each individual client in their journey, dependent on what's going on in their lives. And so aside from the education, and then also having a property tax certification to really analyze and protect my clients on the tax side of things.
Which is a big one here in Texas.
Oh, yes. Yeah, property taxes range over 1.5% in Austin and surrounding areas, and that could be thousands of extra dollars a year on the same value home. So those are things that I feel people need to know. And nobody's talking about property taxes in real estate. I had to figure out most of the information on my own. And I think that maybe 1 or 2% of agents have the property tax consultant certification.
So there are 20 certifications. You're working on now your 12th. Is there some common theme that you've taken away from these 11 that you've completed and the 12th that you're working on?
It's highly emotional and based and psychological based when it comes to taking care of people and making sure that they're protected financially and they're comfortable. It's a lot of meeting them where they are and being honest with them, but also validating the emotions, telling a seller who's home dropped $100,000 in value, being honest, but understanding and respecting the fact that they spent $30,000 bringing in some nice marble from Italy or whatever the case may be. And that goes a long way of respecting the person first. The transaction, all of that comes later. And so each one really focus on what's best for that client. And then also, I don't feel there's really blanket advice either. There's still situation dependent. So somebody's goals, financial in the future, family-wise, impact the way I'll help guide them through a process.
I'm really curious. I mean, I know a little bit about the tragedy that impacted your home when you were young. How did that event inspire maybe all of this passion for this knowledge?
So it's really subconscious in a way, and it's funny how that works. So I think I was maybe 8 years old, and our family's home was foreclosed on. And I just remember moving out, living with my grandparents. My grandparents ended up buying it at auction back. Then we had renters in there to pay off some things. And I didn't really know what was going on then. But then as I got older, I found out. And it just made so much sense. And so I believe actually the first certification I got was short sale and foreclosure, one of the first ones. And it just was, my mom was blindsided by some things. We didn't really know what was going on. And a short sale is where somebody comes in and helps you sell a property pre-foreclosure, and where the bank will accept maybe a bit less than what it's worth, but allows you to avoid that process. And so even if somebody would have let her know about that, maybe that would have been another route that could have been taken, and took over 10 years to build her credit back up. So, I mean, these things can impact you financially in the future, just everything, quality of life.
If there's a certification that you end up using more than any other, especially in our community?
I would say recently it's been the military relocation professional certification. I started building in the military space in March. Now I have 5 or 6 military clients already, and so they're very loyal, very to the point. They have their 2 hours of questions. I have the 2 hours of answers, and then we're very just locked in on the process. And so that's been amazing, and a lot of them are really tight on their cash to close. So being able to help get someone in a home. Today I have clients closing on a property this afternoon, and they're getting $1,900 back at closing. So that was the only thing they put down. They're getting it refunded because I negotiated the sellers to pay all the closing costs. So it's allowing somebody to be in a home. And in their case, they bought a house a year ago, and it was a lot more expensive than what they were comfortable spending. So I put a renter in there, and now they're going to be saving $600 a month in the new house.
What are some of the big considerations for those veterans who you know, they may just find their friend who does real estate versus someone who's a veteran, you know, certified real estate agent?
So it really comes down to understanding the VA loan process. Appraisers are a bit more stickler when it comes to VA home loans. One of my listings, the exterior paint was chipping. That needed to be remedied and redone prior to closing, even though it was cosmetic. So just setting yourself up for success with the property. If you're active duty, knowing that you're likely going to PCS or restation every few years, so making sure you're buying a home that already has some equity built in versus buying at the top of the market. So just thinking about those things. And then if you're a veteran, considering, do you have any percentage of military disability? Because there's different tax exemptions that come with that.
I was talking to a friend of mine who's spent many, many years in the military, and I mentioned this to him because I think he's 100% disabled, and he had no idea that, you know,
that he could be property tax exempt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the counties don't go and tell you, and that's what kills me the most. It's they will take they'll take the taxes unless you're the one that goes in and preemptively files that exemption that you have to know about. But if no one's telling you about it, how do you know?
I mean, we won't go there because it's irritating in so many different ways. Let's talk about some of the real estate horror stories that you've seen. I know one of them, for example, you've talked about someone who came into a house that was previously owned by someone who's 65 and above. Why does that matter?
So it matters because when you're over 65, you qualify for an additional property tax exemption from just the homestead exemption, which you get for your primary residence. And what this does is it freezes your school taxes at 1%. So if your school taxes go 1.6, 1.7, you're never paying more than 1. And then you also get a $12,000 exemption off the value of your home before you're taxed. Those two things combined can lead to several thousands of dollars being saved annually because of the over 65 exemption.
Okay.
So if you are 40 or 30 or 50 purchasing a home and you're looking at last year's taxes and you're like, oh, this is sweet, these are really affordable. Now your lender doesn't calculate it correctly because they're also looking at last year's and don't check what exemptions are in place. Now your escrow doesn't have enough money for your taxes when the tax bill's due, which is at the beginning of the following year. So now you're scrambling and you have a very small time frame to come up with several $1,000s that you didn't know you even needed.
That could be kind of worrisome.
And the craziest part is, this is all easily searchable. You don't even have to be a real estate agent. All you need to do is go to your local appraisal district's website and type in your name or property address or somebody else's, and it shows every exemption they qualify for. So this is something that can be found easily. It's just nobody's looking.
So that would be one of the first things you would tell anybody looking for a new home, whether they're working with you or not, is go search to see what exemptions are on there. And if you're not eligible for them, that's going to change everything for you.
Yeah. And also ask your lender if they're estimating your taxes with the homestead exemption included or not, because sometimes people forget to file their homestead exemption. Now their home is worth an extra $100,000 in assessed value. So now there could be an issue as well.
And am I mistaken that some policy about that just recently changed as well?
Yes. So that's another thing. Homestead exemptions, which once again is for your primary residence. It saves you $100,000 of assessed value. It used to be $40,000, but it was up to $100,000 as of last year. Now that has to be reapplied for. You have to verify your eligibility every 5 years due to the fact that it's meant for owner-occupied properties, and there were a lot of investor-owned properties or rentals that were getting the exemption. So already people have had their exemption removed, not realizing this. The letters are coming in the mail, but sometimes they get lost. And now they're also having a tax bill they didn't expect because an exemption they've had for maybe 10, 15 years now all of a sudden isn't there.
So, and I'm sure this is brand new news to a lot of people listening here. How do they take care of that? What are the steps that they need to do to make sure that they get that exemption?
So the first step is, once again, checking to see if you have it in place or not. So go to your local appraisal. If you're in Williamson County, Williamson County Appraisal District's website, or Central Appraisal District, you type in your name or your property address, and then as you pull up your tax bill on the left-hand side, it'll show different acronyms for exemptions in place.
Okay.
So the homestead is HS. I think the over 65 is OH. Don't quote me on that one. But so there's different ones, and then you can kind of see if it's a military veteran. So just checking these to see first, both for yourself or other properties you're acquiring. And then if you see, oh my gosh, my homestead has been removed, you go to that same website, and the homestead exemption forms are typically on the website. You can do those for free. Don't pay anybody to do that. It's a totally free thing. You could submit it, and then they'll process it. And
are they telling you how many years you have left, or is it just?
So supposedly they're sending out these notices, but once again, not everybody has received them. So
and not everybody checks their mail regularly either.
Or maybe you're out of town and get lost. So many things can happen with regular snail mail, and so it is already becoming an issue, and it's just important to know what you're paying. That shouldn't be a huge surprise when it comes to property taxes.
Yes, nobody wants a big tax surprise bill. You're also very actively involved in the community, from sponsoring school snacks and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about those things and why you're so passionate about those as well.
So when I first started in real estate, some of my very first clients are in Round Rock, and it was just a community that I was drawn to. I've lived in Texas for 10 years, but never felt like I had a community here until getting into real estate, and especially in the Round Rock area. And so one of my second ever buyer client, he's an industrial engineer, structural engineer. He's who taught me about property taxes. His daughter was teaching at an elementary school in the area, and there was a backpack drive, so I was coordinating some backpack donations, and then I was like, well, do you have any other needs? And so we got to talking, and me and my husband just were like, okay, well, let's start dropping off a few $100s of snacks and waters every month at the school just to support the students and give back to the community that's helping me build my business and growing. And then just organically at the beginning of the year, they were like, hey, can you support a second school as well? And I was like, oh, wow. Absolutely. You called me at the right time. So eventually I plan to set it up as an official nonprofit. But for now, making sure the kids are fed and supported. And I mean, there's many great organizations that are already out there. There's Hope Austin, Backpack Friends. There's so many amazing people, doing great things. For me, because I'm not a nonprofit, I can allow the counselors to give out the food a little bit more universally, so the parents don't have to fill out any forms. And if a kid forgets food, even if they are food secure, the counselor kind of has that free will to give it out. So it's just, I want to try to fill those gaps where there are so many things in place, but kids that may be falling through those cracks.
You've been very active also in a lot of the chamber events. So tell us a little bit about, what some of your favorites are, and how has the chamber helped you out?
It's interesting. I initially first encountered the Round Rock Chamber a year ago when I was fresher in the networking space. And I felt the genuine energy. I'm very big on energy and genuine vibes in business. It's just, I have to align with people ethically and in the way they do business to even be comfortable. And so I saw the value, but I was a little spread thin with 2 other networking groups that I was building. And so I said, you know what, I'm tabling this and I'm going to come back to it. And then the beginning of the year happened. The mid-morning mixers, they're going to get tired of seeing me there. That's one of my favorite events, actually. You sign up for a 2-minute spotlight and you're able to talk in front of 40 to 80 people. And it's allowed me already to get more comfortable. You've helped me a lot with that, just getting more comfortable in organically sharing who I am in a just very natural way and less scripted, and just being myself. So that's been immensely beneficial. Joining the ambassador program has been great. I've made so many great connections, and I mean, I've received referrals as well, but more importantly, I've met people that I can, connect my clients to and refer business. And so it's been great so far.
You and your husband, like you said, you're not originally from here. I know you're originally from Pittsburgh, lived in Texas, came here. What is it you guys get to enjoy with the Round Rock community? Like, what are some of your favorite spots?
So my husband is vegan. It's his life choice, so I support it. There's so many vegan-friendly restaurants here. There's a lot of Indian restaurants, Kirby Lane. I mean, they have them in Round Rock and otherwise. They make a mean vegan vanilla pancake for him. Round Rock Donuts. I mean, he can't enjoy it, but I sure can. So that's been amazing. And recently, I bought season tickets to the Round Rock Express game, and I've been gifting those to clients, some charitable organizations, and just going to some myself as well, really just being able to immerse myself in the community.
Yeah, it's not quite the Pittsburgh sports scene, but
it's okay.
It's okay.
It'll do.
It'll do in a pinch. If people want to get in touch with you, maybe they have some questions about their situation, whether they're buying, selling, residential, commercial, what's the best way to engage with you, connect with you?
So if you're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, it's at Buy with Batya. And then you can also reach out to my email, which is contact@buywithbatya, BATYA. It's an interesting one, .com. Those are probably going to be my 2 best ways, or phone number, 412-389-9180.
Awesome. And if you had some advice for a new business owner coming into the community, because you just got started, what's the first thing you'd be telling them?
So I would say build off of what's uniquely you. One of the things that has helped me the most is finding out what's my brand, what makes me unique, and creating a business and an energy and a reputation around that. So lean into the things that you can't doubt about yourself even on your worst day, your core strengths, and building your business. And then also, slow and steady wins the race with business. Just because you're not seeing the results right now doesn't mean you're not working towards them, or doesn't mean they're not going to come. And then when it comes to growing and acquiring rental spaces, same thing. Make sure you stay within your budget. It's always better to take it a little gradual, maybe spend an extra year in that garage to save up some more funds. So when you do take on that undertaking of leasing a commercial space, you can comfortably do it, and it's not causing more stress than the space is worth.
Awesome. Yeah. Own your story. Thank you so much, Batya.
Thank you for having me.